Mm.
Well,
Mm. Well, yeah, I'm interested to hear. I know you spoke just before about you had that ritual before a meeting where you would kind of have that 1 minute of almost prayer to put yourself
yep.
in a better space to start the meeting. I'm curious, is there any other things like that or any other principles that you followed through your career that you would say contributed to yourself being able to do all the things that you've done? Because yeah, many people would look at your career and say, okay, that's what I want for me. I want to be able to have all these things and do all this amazing stuff. I'm curious if there's anything that you did, any habits or rituals or things that you did consistently that you would say, okay, that was really important in getting to where I was able to get to.
Let's just put ritual to one side because I see rituals are incredibly important. I think trust is an incredibly important part of this, and it's trusting people. It's to work out who are the most important people in your life. Who can you turn to? Who can you take your anxieties and your fears and worries to? Because most of us have times of anxiety and depression to some extent, self-doubt, and that's in the personal space, it's in the professional space, all the stuff around relationships and that sort of thing. And we all need those anchors. And if we talked about sort of core values or belief, whether it's a religious belief or something else, we all need some anchors lives. And it could coincidentally be the people that you might like to binge with on the occasional Saturday night, but it might be entirely different people. But I think just off the top, it's those personal relationships that are so important because, so much of the challenge is in isolation. And if you can't find a way out of the isolation, you can get those other problems and the loneliness and the anxieties and all of that sort of thing. And if you talk about a ritual, I often oh dear, I often share with people that I mentor, and a lot of them really struggle with the emotional side of their lives. I say to them now, when your internal thoughts, personal or professional or business, are tending to the black side of things, you do need to have rituals or ways to transition out of it. Everybody needs that. And I've always encouraged people to buy a helicopter, and that normally evokes a smile or a laugh. It's just a metaphorical helicopter, but you've got to keep it front and center. Because when you're totally dominated by your internal darkness, you need to jump in that helicopter and sort of go up about 200 meters and then look down at yourself and say with a very, very loud voice, what the fuck's going on down there? What is it? So that you start to develop techniques or rituals around those out of body experience where you don't need to read books or have a psychologist or a psychiatrist. You just need to understand in a detached way what stupidity is going on within you. Stupidity isn't a nice thing to say because it's real. It's real. So I'm going to pause there and say to you guys, that image I've just given you of the helicopter, which is a technique to pursue transition of who you really are. Do you need that personally from time to time? How do you handle it? How do you handle it when you personally get inappropriately distracted by negative thinking?
Mm.
I've got one if you're thinking, Fricker. Not so much the helicopter, like I don't know if you said out of body experience. I don't know if I've ever really had anything like that. Something I'll try because it sounds pretty cool. But for me, I like to just go for a drive. So I just go for a long drive down from where I live, like down south coast, this place called Selix Beach. And then I kind of just stop there and I look at the beach. I kind of just try and empty mind kind of thing. Yeah, that's drive. I mean, this by Adelaide standards, a long drive, so it's like 45 minutes. By Sydney standards, that's a trip to the shops. Yeah, no, that's kind of my thing. Just be in the car by myself, have whatever music I'm playing, and then that's my thing.
Yep. And so you've got a technique that you've worked out for yourself, Peter, and works,
Yeah.
which is excellent. And James?
Well, yeah, I would say similar to Pete in that he gets out of the house, and I think for myself, I'd prefer to go for a walk.
Yes.
So near my house in Adelaide is Mount Osmond. It's like a really, really good lookout. You can see the whole city. So I would walk there, walk around, and like don't take my phone or anything, and just walk and just deal with what's going on. Or even here in Melbourne, I'll walk along the Yarra for a bit, just do a big walk, get it out of my system, and then often when I'm coming back in that sort of the last 500 meters back to wherever I'm staying, that's kind of the refocus moment. Now that we've done the big walk, it's time to get in the zone and get back into things.
So
Yeah, I find those to be helpful. No, you go.
This stage in your life, you've probably applied it more in personal circumstances than professional or business circumstances. And it may well be that in professional and business circumstances, you may have to vary it. No, depends how well it works. Those sorts of things, because, often, for example, if you're in a serious mediation or court case, you may not be able to jump in your car or go for that long walk, but you still might have been totally distracted by the unethical conduct of an opponent, to the point where you are thinking much more about that than the issue trying to be resolved for the best benefit of your client. But that's one example of it. But I think if I was to answer it in a total Gilly whole of life way, I would say that I am very comfortable with the notion that I know very little. I truly believe we know very, very little about all of the issues, and that it's probably never going to be the case that we will know a huge amount. And that's something I just must accept. I own that part of who I am, my life. So I don't beat myself up because there is something that's evading my analysis or an answer. If that's the way it's supposed to be, that's the way it's supposed to be. Get over it, Gilly. Own it. Own it. Now, illness is a good example. I have lots of friends in my life who have been brilliant at handling illness. Probably the best one is one of your fellow Adelaideans, a great lawyer, my age, insurance lawyer, John Fountain. And John has been struggling with leukemia since 2009, but has the most amazing way of dealing with it. I know other people who, in similar circumstances, will always, as part of their conversation, include, why me? Why did it happen to me?
Yeah.
Why did these things happen to kids? I don't know.
Mm.
But it's me. Why did my wife die at 70 years of age? Why? Well, that's life. This stuff happens.
Mhm.
And I think when you bring it to your question, James, if the context, if the background is that sort of accept, then a lot of these other things can be handled in a very much easier way.
Yeah, that's spot on. I like that a lot. Well, yeah, I've got one question left in my head, but I'm curious, Pete, is there anything, I'm sure you could almost go all day here with Gilly, but yeah, is there anything else that you'd like